Hello everybody, thanks for watching the Mile High Biker. My name is Steven, and in this video today I'm going to show you how to know, just by looking at a bike, if it's going to be able to help you tackle climbing and steep hills. Alright, so in this video I'm mostly talking to beginners to riding bikes, especially if you are in the market for a bike and you're looking to buy one. I'm not talking to people who already know a lot about bikes. A lot of these things you're already going to know. But when we're getting started, sometimes we get a bike, we go for a ride, we understand hills obviously are going to be a problem, and depending on your fitness level, a certain kind of bike can help you out a lot on those hills. So I'm going to show you the things to look for. The drivetrain is the first part of the bike that you want to look at. Basically, you want to look at the rear wheel and this piece, which is called the rear cassette, and that's where your spread of cogs is going to be. The biggest cog is back here, the more climbing ability that bike is going to have. Okay, and then the smaller the ring in the front and the bigger the biggest ring in the back is, even more climbing ability is what you're going to have. So you just kind of want to look at these rings, and the biggest you can find in the back, smaller in the front, that's going to give you low gearing that is meant for going up and down hills, which is why that's what comes on the Norton here. And this can be even upgraded to have even larger 11 or 12 speed cassette on the back here to get even lower climbing gears. Also, for simplicity's sake, sometimes as a beginner, when we're getting up to a hill, we're trying to figure out what gear to get in or how to quickly get into a low gear. And you'll notice on this bike that there is only one chain ring in the front, multiple in the back. We call this a one-by system, and it means simpler, easier shifting to worry about. All right, now keeping things pretty close to where we are, let's take a look at the Poseidon X Ambition. This bike can tackle some hills, but not quite as well as the Norton. Let me show you why. So now we're zoomed in on the drivetrain here. We do still have a one-by system, one ring up front, and it's actually the same 10-speed cassette that's used on the Norton. The derailleur, the rear cassette here, is actually exactly the same. But what is different, the front chain ring is bigger on the gravel bike because it's not meant to be climbing super steep rocky terrain that has obstacles. You know, there's going to be hills, and this thing does get pretty low. Sure, if I put an 11 or 12 speed on there, I could get even lower. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at something that is 100% not intended for climbing hills. A single speed bike like the single speed converted GT Timberline that we have right here. Looking closely at the drivetrain of a single speed bike, we got big up front and really small in the back, and that means not optimized for climbing hills, which a single speed, we know that. And if you see single speed mountain bikes, you'll see a much smaller ring up front. It'll be much closer to the size, maybe even a bigger ring in the back, because those are intended for climbing a little bit. You know, even dirt jumpers and BMX bikes, you're not going to see quite as big of a difference between front and back. Now, a single speed bike or a fixed gear bike, you're going to see big up front, small in the back. The bigger you have in the front, maybe the more macho you are, because everybody knows that's a harder gear, harder to get moving, harder to get up hills. Now then, sometimes though, especially if you're on a budget and you're buying an older bike, you might end up with something like this which can maybe be a little more confusing to look at if you're looking closely at the drivetrain, trying to decide, is this going to help me climb hills? Which is not a one-by drivetrain. Older drivetrains, especially on mountain bikes, you're going to see up to 3 rings in the front, okay? What this means is you're going to have more complicated shifting, because now you're going to have a shifter for your left hand and for your right hand. Right hand controls the back of the bike, left hand will shift the front of the bike, and it can be a little confusing sometimes. It takes some practice to get efficient and really good at getting up and down the gear range. A plus side of this setup is that you do have a really wide range of gears, because you've got a pretty super small, come on focus, there we go, small ring in the front there that is even smaller than the biggest ring in the back. So you're getting really low gears. These bikes, they can climb really well. It's just sometimes tricky to get down into those gears at the right moment when you need it. Now, if you're out, you're shopping for a bike, you're looking online, you're looking at all this gear ratio, that gear, this one has a 1-by, this one's 2-by. If anything is still confusing, you're still not sure whether or not that bike is going to be able to tackle the hills in your area, taking in your fitness abilities into account, you still don't know what to do, then get an e-bike. And pretty much hills are not a problem at all. There you go. Now, there are other factors to be taken into account as you get more familiar with riding bikes and taking on hills. There is a certain amount of technique that you can use to help get up hills. How heavy your bike is, whether it has suspension or not. If you have suspension on your bike, if you can lock that suspension out, that's going to help you climb your hills. If you have a fully rigid bike, it's already going to be a better climber. The geometry of a bike sometimes can lend itself to an easier climb or a little bit more of a struggle. All right, well, thanks for watching this video. I hope that it was decently informative to you if you're out there looking for a bike and you're worried about being able to climb hills. If you live in a hilly area, I live in Denver, and yeah, we got a lot of hills out here. So I've learned a lot since I started riding. It's a reason why I have multiple bikes. Some of them are better at tackling hills than others. And so hopefully now you know what you're looking for, and you'll be able to get out and ride where you want and have a lot of fun. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.